So I am joined by Victoria Dowdy. Victoria is a musician. She writes her own music. She collaborates with other musicians. So Victoria, we met in I think it was 2018, and I was swimming at the Ottoman Downs apartment complex pool, and I was like, "Who is that girl?"
Oh my gosh.
You were so cool and so friendly, and I felt like an instant connection to you. So I had to have you on the show, and thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for such a lovely introduction. You were also really, really nice when I first met you.
That's good.
And
I was a
then-
mess back then, so I'm glad I was nice.
So was I. And then COVID happened, and then we got to hang out a lot during COVID because we're living right next to each other in that complex.
I remember I somehow got an old trombone, and we did a quick photo shoot with you holding
Yeah.
a trombone. I hope I still have that because I want to flash it on the screen if I still have it. It
That's
was such an
amazing.
iconic picture.
I think I posted a picture of it with the caption tromboner.
Oh, nice.
Possibly.
Nice. That's, yeah, I was, when I was in middle school, I played trombone, and I said tromboner all the time.
It's such a funny word.
Yeah, my MSN Messenger name was Trombone Freak.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing.
yeah. So since these years that I've met you, you have just you're on the rise. You've always had star potential, star quality, and I always see you performing, you're collaborating, you're putting out music. What is the drive behind that? What keeps you going?
Yeah, well, I started really late. I think I was 26 when I started. I don't know that I'd even started when I met you, actually. I think it was a couple years until I really decided, hey, this is something that I've wanted to do my whole life. Was too shy, too nervous about, had imposter syndrome. And then at some point I realized, oh my God, if I don't do this now, I'm going to be 80 years old regretting it. So I've really thrown myself into it. And of course, there's also the algorithm is you've got to keep putting stuff out all the time. So that's part of it too. But truly, I just enjoy doing it. I enjoy hanging out with other musicians. I enjoy hanging out with other creatives in general. And I can't not make music, whether it's in front of people live or recording it. I've got to be doing it all the time. 'Cause
Yeah.
otherwise, I'd be singing in my shower.
Right. I'm want to do that. And I remember when I first met you, you were dressing up as Elsa for
Oh my
kids'
God.
parties.
That's right. I
Yeah.
was a princess for kids' parties, and I was just in my little Ford Fusion dressed up like a princess going to parties all the time.
Yeah, you were born to be a performer. You were talking about being shy. How did you overcome getting on stage? Because that's still something I haven't overcome. Performing as a solo act. What was that process like?
Yeah, so I think the first thing would be working in a restaurant helped me a ton because I had to speak to, over the course of maybe 10 years, thousands and thousands of people.
That's a lot.
And different personalities and learning how to read people. And it's a performance too, just being a waiter, rattling off the soup of the day or whatever. You're performing. And then I was a tour guide at a couple of different places, Graceland, Rock and Soul Museum. So another performance in a way. And then really just doing it. This answers your first question too, is if you don't keep performing and you are the person that's kind of shy, you lose that muscle because it's a muscle you train to not be so scared anymore. It's just practice. So I try to perform a lot too so I don't lose that. Because if I'm ever sick or something, it's been a month, I can feel it. I get my nerves again. I get a little jittery.
Do you feel like a different person on stage? Does a persona come out, or you're just Victoria?
It depends on what kind of music I'm doing. But yeah, I do feel like I have to push myself to be a little different. It's not that I feel like a completely different person, but what I'm showing is different, if that makes sense. I'm allowing myself to be more vulnerable than in just conversation. Because you have to be vulnerable, but in a way that's exaggerated too. So I think that's what I'm getting at is you're being vulnerable, but you have to make sure people are seeing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can't, like, I have really small eyes, if you can see this. I have really small features. And sometimes I'll rewatch videos just to do a little, Monday morning quarterback situation, try to figure out what I need to do next, performance-wise. And I'll realize I've got to open my eyes more. I've got to do the Joan Jett, like, big eyes thing or bigger movements, because otherwise people, if they're at a distance, they can't see your emotions in your face. You have to really put on an act for them to see what you're feeling.
I can relate to that. I also have small eyes. Like they're pretty squinty. And plus when like I also have bad vision even with glasses. So like I'm squinting and people think I'm mad a lot of the times because when I'm thinking I look very serious. So I can relate to that. And I love that you like analyze your performances. What have you learned about yourself other than like opening your eyes when you look back at your work? How have you grown by doing that?
Yeah, there's a lot of introspection that I've done about performing is really for the audience. So I've really focused on the quality of my voice. In the moment, I really want to make sure my guitar and my voice sound good. But even right now, still, I'm trying to make sure that they're getting entertainment all around. So if you're too in your head, some people have said, and in a way, it is kind of selfish if you're worried too much about yourself in that moment, because you're there to entertain. So if you're worried about yourself too much, you're really denying the audience of a good performance because you're not letting yourself do it.
That just gave me chills. Like I've never thought about it that way. And another thing I really love about your music is you have really vulnerable lyrics, and they're very real and straightforward. It's not hidden behind like flowery metaphors and like things like that. Where does that style come from? How have you honed that style?
Yeah, I think my natural writing style is very flowery. And then when I tried to start writing music, I was like, oh, that's kind of hard to get a cadence behind. And also when I first started writing, I didn't know where to start. And a lot of what I heard was just be honest, just be vulnerable, just do what feels right, and it'll come to you. So I sat down and I was like, let me be vulnerable. What comes out, it'll be prose. It's poetry, but it's more just how it comes out, as opposed to sitting down and being like, okay, the meter needs to be this, and I need a thesaurus with me or something. I'll still go there sometimes.
Yeah.
But I do just want to be vulnerable. I want it to feel like I'm talking, because those are some of my favorite songs. When it doesn't feel pretentious, it feels like this person is just explaining to me what they're going through right now.
I love that. I still have a lot of work to do that because I want to like be mysterious and cryptic, and it's like I can't really connect with people that way.
But you do a good job of that in some of your poems.
Thank you.
I very much enjoy it.
I appreciate it. I'm trying to be more plain language and not be so hidden, because a lot of my life I wanted to hide, and so I would hide behind words. But now I'm at a point in my life where I want to be out there more and be seen more for being like vulnerable. And I want to go back to the algorithm and social media and being vulnerable and being out there. What have you learned about having to like constantly post and be a part of this machine to be seen?
Yeah, I've had this conversation with several people recently. You learn that, especially as an artist right now, most people are indie artists. Even some very famous people are indie. So you've got to be your own PR and marketing and manager and all of that. So you can't be afraid to just be goofy online and post yourself a ton, because it may feel silly to you, but on the other end of it, that's exactly what you want. Is you want people to see you a little more. You want people to engage with you a little more, and that you're not afraid to be out there, because being an artist is being out there. Like you said, it's vulnerable to post a bunch, because it is scary. You're like, am I annoying people? Am I posting too much? But you can't worry about that. You just have to do what you need to do.
Yeah. Like let them be annoyed. Let them roll their eyes. Like who cares? Like you'll find the right audience that won't that will like what you're posting. And if you get unfollows, like, that's not your audience. They're not your people.
That's so funny. Someone unfollowed me on Spotify. I was like, why?
It hurts. For some reason, I'm like, fucking asshole.
It hurts, but it's also really funny, especially on something like Spotify that's not even like pushing you something very often.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, Spotify is a whole nother game. What is it like actually publishing music? What is your process when you have an idea for a song or a project? How do you get started?
Yeah, so I have a ton of songs that are just sitting in my phone and my voice notes. So when I'm ready, if I think this is one that I think is a earworm or catchy, people will like, I'll pull it out and I'll show it to Ethan, my musical partner.
Yes, I want to talk about more Ethan, yeah.
He plays violin and guitar and mandolin, and we've been a duo since I started doing this. So he is definitely there for even some of my solo stuff.
Shout out to Oak Walker.
Thank you. But usually it will be Oak Walker. I'll bring a song to them, and mostly Ethan will figure it out. I let him have free reign over what he wants to do most of the time. And then we do have a band right now. Unfortunately, our bassist is moving, which makes us very sad. But we have a great drummer, and I'll show the bassist and drummer and whoever else wants to join us. So we've got a lead guitarist or someone playing keys. And I'll say, hey, okay, this is the vibe of this song. This is the tempo of this song. And then I let them do what they want pretty much. Unless it's just something I'm like, oh man, I can't. No, sorry, we got to do something else with that. But it's not nitpicky. Because I know what I want to do. I've got my vocals, I got my melody, I've got my strumming, maybe some lead stuff. And that's really what's important to me. And the rest is backing it up in a way that's complementary. And I also want everybody else who's playing to have their say too, So even though it's complimentary and it's backing me, I want them to have their style show through, and I want them to be able to have fun with it. I don't want them to feel too constrained.
Yeah. I bet you're really easy to work with. Like, I feel like with you being so collaborative, and your personality is just as being naturally open and kind, I'm sure people love to work with you. What's it been like having like starting with a duo with Oak Walker? How did that get started?
Yeah. So also with the collaborative thing, thank you. It's very nice of you to say. I've been working on getting more assertive in that way though. So, because as an artist, you still also have to have a vision that you can't let it slip away, So I do think I'm easy to work with, but maybe too easy sometimes.
Yeah, gotta lay down the law sometimes.
You do. You gotta be the boss, be in charge.
Yeah,
so I'm getting better.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's really hard for me to like tell people that I want something in a certain way.
Excuse me, could you not do that, please?
Yeah, it's hard.
But with Ethan, we were friends already, and then I decided I was going to write this song. I'd won this thing on Facebook to record at Royal Studios.
Really?
Yeah, Boo Mitchell is the main engineer there, but his son was helping out some friends and was like, I can offer some studio time. His name's Uriah. Shout out to Uriah Mitchell.
Uriah.
He's awesome. And I was like, man, if I'm going to record at Royal Studios where Al Green recorded and all these people, like, I'm not going to do a cover song. I've got to write original music. So I wrote my song. It was just me and a guitar. And I was like, man, I know this guy named Ethan that plays violin, and that could be cool. Because I'd been listening to Electric Light Orchestra, ELO.
Yes,
which is more like disco.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they've got violins.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that. So I brought him in, and we were like, man, this is fun. We work well together. We've got good ideas. And then he showed me some of his songs, and we were like, maybe we should make a band. And then it just worked, and we just kept going, and we didn't stop.
I love that. It's like you were talking about winning that thing on Facebook. It's almost like this is 100% your path. Like you have found your calling.
I feel like it for sure. This is my passion.
Yeah. When you were young Victoria, little Victoria, did you see yourself being a musician? What kind of influenced you to follow this path?
Yeah, so I just always sang, just always, even if it wasn't good as a little toddler, I was singing. was shy though, so it wasn't something that I really considered as a career. I would do choir at church and school, and I did musicals and then talent shows, and that was all as a child. And then I was doing karaoke as an adult, and I often needed some liquid courage to do that because I was so shy. And then I just realized at some point I had been wanting to do music for a long time. I did this Southern Girls rock and roll camp. And
That's cool.
we did a band, and it was really good. Like, I just happened to accidentally find all these really great musicians at this camp. We were all like 15, 16. And then it just never, we all were so young, and I couldn't play in bars back then,
Yeah.
So I waited another like 10 years to do it. And I realized that on some level I always wanted to do it, but just was like, oh, I'm too shy. I don't have the time. I've got to pay my bills. I just was making all these excuses. And then I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. I feel so empty without it. Like, I have to do it.
Mm-hmm. I can relate to that 100%. Like, when I was kind of not doing art for a while, I was like, why the hell am I so depressed? And then I started getting back to art around the pandemic, and I was like, oh, like, this is my true calling. This is my path. When I do stuff like this, it gives me self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gives me more confidence. Are there any lessons you've learned from musicians that kind of gave you a confidence to not be so shy?
Yeah, I think meeting other musicians who said they're still shy when they're the greatest thing I've ever seen, or musicians who have said, I was shy, like I'm not anymore, but that's just because I kept doing it. And then also one of my favorite tips about not being shy is being very prepared. So if you know what you're going to do, if you've done everything you can possibly do, you've practiced it over and over, you've got the muscle memory, you've done what you can do. Like, now have fun, and if you mess up, just keep going. It's okay if you mess up, because most of the time people don't even know.
That's true. It's like you're the only one who really notices or pays attention.
Exactly.
So we kind of reconnected at Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
For me, like, fitness has really fueled my creative energy. I was like very anti-gym, like you were talking about making excuses. And how has like having a consistent gym routine, how has that helped you with your art?
Yeah, I think growing up in movies and popular culture, it's like, oh, you're either like an active person or you're an artsy person or you're a nerd. Like, there's all these little silos are put in. But you can be a multifaceted person. Like, you can take care of your health and also enjoy art. There's no reason why you can't do both. Like you said, it's really nice to do both. They help each other. So for me, getting the blood pumping, sometimes I'll get in the car and start singing my ass off, or like I'll get a melody in my head of the gym. Because it's like when you're in the shower or you're going to sleep, like you're relaxed and your head's empty. So then you start having all these ideas coming up. So sometimes I'll leave the gym and like start writing or singing something that I want to tackle, because it helps my breath control too.
Oh yeah, I started taking voice lessons, and my vocal teacher was like, singing is like 80% breathing.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's all about knowing where to put your breath. And I won't get too boring with it, but I mean,
I don't mind.
It's kind of crazy, because at least when you're working out your muscles, like you can look in the mirror and like see this muscle's moving, like I know what to do. You have to imagine where your muscles are in your nose and your throat and your chest and your stomach, and figure out how to make them all work together.
Yeah, I was like blown away. Like, and I should have known this because like I was in choir, but I was probably stoned the whole time I was in college and doing chamber choir. But
hey, that's good for the creative juices too sometimes. I won't knock it.
Yeah, the first lesson, he was like, you can control your diaphragm by breathing through your mouth. And I was like, oh, that's how you like use your diaphragm.
Yeah.
Because like mostly breathe through my chest, just like mostly from like feeling anxious all the time. I don't feel so anxious anymore, but everything was always through the nose. And so to like feel that coming through the mouth and working that muscle, it's been really interesting.
That's such a good point about anxiety. I was in therapy once and they were like, part of the reason you feel anxious is because you literally aren't breathing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, your body feels like it's choking. So when I sing and I do that breath control, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
I have this thing where if I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack, sometimes I'll just do you remember any of like the Freddie Mercury videos from like the 80s when he would get the crowd to like echo what he was doing?
Yeah.
And he was doing like vocal warm-ups basically. He's like tricking them into doing warm-ups with him. I'll do that. If I'm having a panic attack, I'll be like, hey, because it's like getting all the air out and it'll like help me calm down.
Yeah, and you're singing. I'm sure that calms you down. You were talking about therapy. Therapy's helped me a lot too. What made you want to go to therapy?
What didn't make me want to go to therapy? Life. Because at some point you just have to realize, like, if I don't know how to fix what's happening and I'm having the same problems and I can't fix it, I got to go to someone who can help me fix it or at least deal with it. Because, you know, sometimes your behavior, you think it's fine, or your feelings, you feel like you're keeping them inside, but it's really affecting the people around you too. So it's just, I think everyone should go to a little therapy just once.
Yeah, just try it out. Just dip your toes in. What is kind of like your theme of writing these days? What's inspiring you like out of life to like write?
Yeah, so when I first started, it was just, what are the deepest emotions that I can think of, the ones that are going to really stand out? And my mom was like, are you depressed? And I was like, yes, maybe I am.
So. Yeah.
But also you exaggerate stuff, you know.
Oh yeah.
With art, like I have this song called Love Liar that's about, I was trying to do a story song. So it's about someone else and their perspective of trying to justify their behavior when being a toxic partner. And also just like they're a little aware of what's going on, but they justify it. But that's not me. You know, sometimes I have story songs like that too, because I see how someone else is acting and it kind of helps me understand them or understand how to interact with them if I'm like role playing as them. And then most of the time, I don't do as many story songs now. Most of the time I do work off of my own emotions at the time, especially if some melody pops in my head, whatever emotion I'm having at the time, I'll do that. Or I'll start writing the words and then start singing, and then whatever comes out, comes out. It's a little happier as of late.
Good.
I've had some people say like, wow, you sound happier.
Yeah,
and
endorphins.
I'm like, that's great. I love that my music sounds happy too. I know sometimes it's not as easy for people to connect with happy music unless they're like specifically in a really good mood. But that's what I'm making right now. And I hope it's not cliche because it's real.
Yeah, it's not. I think we need more of that happiness, like, especially now, you know, people probably want to escape and feel good and like see someone being happy. And it's such an inspiration. Yeah.
I've always wondered how like Dolly Parton or, you know, people like that write happy music over and over. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you express these emotions? I'm like, oh, they are just happy. Yeah. Like I'm just writing a happier song. Like
imagine that, being happy.
What?
Who
what is that
would have
like?
thought?
Like I've got this song right now about I haven't put it out yet, but it's about girls bullying other girls even as adults. And it's called Mean Girl.
I was gonna say it sounds like Mean Girls. Yeah.
But it's like really happy because it's more about instead of being like, oh, I'm such a victim, it's more of like, which is fair to feel. But in this song particularly, I'm like, well, I know that's your problem because I've worked through my problems enough to know you're not going to project that on me. I know who I am, and that's your issue. You know?
Yeah, that's all them trying to get a mirror back to their insecurities. Almost like they're like trying to get validation for how bad they feel.
And oftentimes people don't even know that they're going through that. So
Yeah.
there's this balance of trying to allow for people to be a hater in some way because, you know, they don't know any better in some ways. But then you also have to be like, on some level, go to therapy.
Yeah.
Like you do got to figure it out eventually.
Yeah, read a book, like a self-help book. But that sounds like a cool idea for a song. Like, that's such a good name. That's like, I feel like that's going to catch a lot of people's attention. They're gonna be like, ooh, what's Victoria? Is she about to talk shit? You know?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I will. This is hot news off the press.
Yes.
This is breaking news. In the song, I say, I say something about having to like fix your face. It needs to be rearranged. And you know, when you say rearrange someone's face, that kind of sounds like you're punching them,
Yeah, a
right?
little
That kind of
violent.
sounds like a little violent. But then after I sing that part, I've got a spoken part that's like, and I mean that in the nicest of ways.
I love that. That's so you too, because it's like you were talking about like wanting to be assertive, but like that's still a hard thing because you don't want to, like, for me at least, like I don't want to come off as like an asshole, but
Yeah, it's like, let me be real bitchy, but also like, but in a nice way.
yeah, exactly.
But you know.
So speaking like along the lines of Mean Girls, what's kind of your next big project?
Yeah. So right now I'm just trying to do singles frequently. I've got one I wrote about my mom last year.
Oh,
And I probably will put that out for Mother's Day. So that's coming up in a couple months. And then after that, probably just try to do maybe 3 or 4 singles throughout the year. And Oak Walker has a new single coming out soon that I'm
Nice.
really happy with and really proud of.
cool. And my favorite thing to ask artists, if you had all the time in the world, all the resources, what would be your dream project?
Oh my God. I would get so many backup singers. I would get a whole like cello, multiple violins situation going on, some flutes. It would be like electric light orchestra. It would be like a rock pop song that also has strings in it. Just, and everyone would get paid well.
Yeah,
And
that's
everyone would
important.
be happy.
Yeah,
And we'd take all the time we need to record because we could pay the studio.
exactly. No,
We
no
do all
rushing.
revisions. Yeah, because that's part of it is just having to work with the time you have because you don't want to be too meticulous because you can't afford to. And also, like we said earlier, you don't want to come off as a jerk or something. But you kind of have to at some point be like, okay, I'm paying a bunch of money to do this. I need to actually make it sound good or I just wasted it, you know? But that would be my dream project would be like an ELO type project.
I totally see that for you. Like, you are such an inspiration for those like who might be shy but have star quality. I think I've always thought you were such a star, and
God, thank you. You're
I'm
so
dead ass
sweet.
serious. And like, you have a very special like aura about you, and you're a hard worker, and I really look up to you. And I just want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Zach. And I feel the same way about you. You've always been publishing your poetry, and your art is so beautiful, and you've always been very kind to me. So
Thank
thank you for having me.
Of course.